All right, we're going to do a quick demo of our hospital finance data sets. I'm going to run through each field one by one. First, we're going to do the income statement. So we have a hospital provider number, hospital name, city, state, cost report number, fiscal year begin and end dates. We have the source data worksheet. We have the source data row and column. We have line item descriptions, which we'll go through momentarily. We have the source data itself, some sequence order data to help you order these fields. We have two fields from two different data sources that indicate the type of service this hospital provides. So you can see this first hospital is a long-term care hospital. We scroll down to the next one and we have a psychiatric hospital. And then we have two fields from two different data sources that indicate the type of control over that hospital. So this first one is a private, for-profit, or proprietary corporation, depending on what data field you reference. And the second hospital down here, it says it's a local hospital or a governmental city county hospital. And then our last field over here is a cost report indicator field indicating whether this is a critical access hospital or not. So we'll run through this first one real quick. So we have gross charges, we have contractual allowances, and then net patient revenues. And then if we scroll down through the individual cost centers, you can see cost center expenses for about 21 individual cost centers for this particular hospital. We have total expenses there, operating expenses. We have a non-operating deduction. This is bad debt deduction. And then we have net income from service to patients. We have other revenue from sales of medical records for this particular one. And then we have some non-operating expenses. It looks like a management fee, intercompany interest, probably some property taxes here, and then total net income from both operating and non-operating sources. Next, we'll flip over to the balance sheet. So this is the balance sheet data. We have very similar fields: hospital provider number, hospital name, city, state, cost report number, fiscal year begin and end periods, the source worksheet, the source worksheet row. All this comes from worksheet G. And then we have fields for categories and details for balance sheet and line items. And then we have four different possible accounts here. Most hospitals report their balance sheet under a general fund, but you also see some of them have an endowment. We have the same four fields identifying hospital service type and hospital control, and then we have our cost report critical access indicator field. So just looking down through the details here, you see we have current assets, and there's your current assets: cash, receivables, inventory, prepaids. Fixed assets, this particular one just has buildings and accumulated depreciation, but some of them have very detailed fixed asset classes. And then our various liabilities: current and long-term liabilities, and capital account. Now we'll flip over to the operational data. Next, we have our operational data. So I'll just run through this. Here we have provider number, hospital name, city, state, cost report number, fiscal year begin and end dates. This data comes from worksheet S3 part 1. We have our row numbers. We have the standard names of the various areas of the hospital to which the data relates. And then we have some information crosswalking that to their worksheet A cost centers. You can see here most of these are the same, but they may break it out and be more specific. So if you look down here under other specialty care, you'll see they have a detoxification intensive care unit in this particular hospital. We have number of beds by area. So for this first one, we have 284 inpatient beds. We have 25 beds in the intensive care unit and 16 beds down in that detox intensive care. And it looks like they also have about 42 beds down in their inpatient psychiatric facility. Then we go through and we can go through each area and look at their inpatient days or outpatient visits depending on what type of area it is. So these are all inpatient services. So we have inpatient days for Medicare, inpatient days for Medicaid, overall inpatient days. We have our total FTE employees on payroll. Sometimes they break this out, sometimes they don't. And then we have discharges by payer class. So Medicare, Medicaid, and total discharges.